So hello everyone, in this video we'll be understanding about arrays in action. Let's do that. So let me just delete everything here which we did in the last video or in the last practical video. Let me just create an array, and array creation is very simple. As you know, we have to write the array variable name. So let's say I have cities, and to create an array we have different approaches. The first approach is this easiest one, the square bracket. Inside that I can specify any city, let's say Dubai, Beijing, Delhi, New York. So all these are cities. This was one way. The other way to create an array is very simple. You can write array constructor here by adding a new keyword at the start, and inside that you can paste the words which you want to add, for example Delhi and the other ones. So this way you can also create an array, but I'll be using the previous one which was the easiest one. So this is how we can create an array, and to access elements of an array we'll be using just their indexes. Let's say if I want to access Delhi, so it is the third element, so I'll be counting the index, so 0, 1 and the second index. So third element will have the second index. So I can write let me just write the array name first. So cities is the array name, and after that we have a square bracket. Inside that I can specify uh, the index. So for example I have to specify 2 here because I want Delhi to be visible there. Now I can see that in the action. Let me just run it, open with live server. Also the heading is not right. We can change that, but let's focus on the console. Now you can see Delhi is printed out because we are accessing the index of Delhi, which is 2. Similarly, you can change the index to 4 if you have the fourth index. No, we don't have. We have the third index. So we'll get the New York. If I try to add 4, which isn't there, so you can see it is giving us undefined because that item doesn't exist, or that item at this index doesn't exist. If I directly write the city's variable name, so all the items will be printed out. You can see it is also, this console is also giving us the highlight that it is an array, and we can see the indexing as well. So on 0 we have Dubai, Beijing, Delhi, New York, and length is 4 items. But we can also get the length by adding cities.length, as you know. So you can see it is 4. Similarly, we can add extra items there. Let's say if I want to push one more city in this cities array, so I'll be using the cities array one more time, and I can use push method to add one extra item. So I'll be using let's say uh, Tokyo, and if I now console log this cities, so I'll see Tokyo added. Now you can see Tokyo is added here. So this push method actually adds the item at the end. If we add Unshift here, let's say if I add one more item, cities dot push. Let's say if I add Berlin, that's a city, right? If I add it, but instead of push, I'll be using Unshift method. So this will add this Berlin as a start. So if we see that, now you can see Berlin is added at the start and Tokyo is at the end. So this was the thing. Similarly, we can remove the items. Let's say if I want to remove the item, let's say if I want to remove this Beijing, let it be there. Let's say if I want to remove this Beijing, which is at, uh, let's not remove this Beijing. Let's remove the last item. So New York is the last item, but if we add this Tokyo as well, so Tokyo will be the last item, then that will be removed. So let me just comment it out so we can actually get the idea. So New York will be removed now if I just add a pop here. So this pop method will actually remove the last element. Now you can see till Delhi we have the values, but New York isn't there. We can also store the item which is removed in a variable last or any kind of variable you can create or remote kind of thing, and that item we can also log out. It is sometimes needed when we want to show to the user that this item is removed actually. We can add removed, and after that we can specify this variable. So if we save this, so we can see removed is stored here and we can show this item here. So New York is removed, that's why that's being shown there. Similarly, we have this shift method that we can use that allows us to remove the first element. So we can use this element, we can remove the first element by using this shift method. So if we see that, so you can see only 3 items are there and Dubai is not here. And the removed item is Dubai in this case. So this was the method. Similarly, we can also remove items at specific index. Let's say if I want to remove this Beijing now, so earlier we were discussing the same. So I want to delete this, or let's say I want to remove this Beijing. So how can I do that? It is very simple. You just have to use cities.splice method. So this splice method allows us to remove this element, remove or add some elements. So if you want to remove this element, which is Beijing, so we have to specify the index of that element. So wherever you want to add element or remove element, you can use the index first. So the index is 1, so I can specify 1 here. After that, you can see delete count is the in the next item we have to specify the delete count or number of items to delete. So I have to delete only one item, so I'll be specifying 1 here. I don't want to add any extra items, so I'll be not adding that. So this way I can delete this Beijing here. Now if I see, okay, let me just also add this removed variable, removed. Now you can see Beijing is removed and removed is stored as an array. So when we use this splice method, so at that time it is an array, not an object or a single item of an element. Now we can also add some items by using splice method. So it is very easy. You can add some extra items. Let's say I want to add 2 more cities after this Beijing. So how can I add it? So after the Beijing I want, let's say after Delhi I want to add some more items. So we saw that we can add items at the start, at the last, but we cannot add items with these methods in between. So we'll be using splice method to add items in between the array. So it is very easy. You can use splice on cities again, splice, and on that I'll be specifying the index. I want to start adding the item here, so I'll be getting the index of this Delhi. So it is 2, so I'll be using this 2 index or second index, and I don't want to delete any item, So I can specify 0. If I want to delete the Delhi, so I'll be using 1. If I want to delete Delhi and New York both, so I'll be specifying 2. I don't want any deletion, so I'll be using 0 here. Similarly, after that, I can specify a number of items that I want to add. So let's say I want to add here, let's say Oslo and Moscow. So these two cities I want to add here. So I'll be using it. If we see that now, and also we don't have this removed now, so we can remove this console log. If I see that, now you can see after Beijing, we have this Oslo and Moscow. And before this Delhi, we have these. So at the start of second index, we have added two items, Oslo and Moscow. So these were some things we did with this splice. Similarly, we have join method that we can use on arrays to join all these elements as a string. So let's say I want to show all of them as a string, so I can use the join method. So if I see that, you can see it is not showing us as an array, but instead it is showing us as a string. Similarly, I can specify the separator in this join method. Let's say I want a separator of minus symbol, so I can do that. So in between, you can see the dash symbol is there instead of that comma. If you don't want any comma, you want you want some space, so you can add space there as well. You can see spaces are there. So this was one way. You can also specify any other separator, let's say hash. You can also specify a hash symbol there, so that hash will be added there. Similarly, you can also convert it to string by using toString method, which we also did in the numbers. So that will not get any separator from us, but instead it will treat comma as a separator. So we are not specifying any separator here. Then we also have one concat method, which we use for concatenating or joining two arrays. So let's say we have cities and we have regions, let's say. So we can specify north, west, east, and we can specify, let's say, south. Now, if I want to add both of them in a concatenated array, so I can easily use that. So let's name this array as nation or anything. Now for concatenating both these arrays, we'll be using concatenate or concat method. We can use concat, and then we can specify the other array. So this was the first array. So first array's item will be at the start, and after that we can join it with this regions. So the regions will be the second array. If you see that, we are not console logging that, so let's console log it as well. So I can console log it, let's say nation. If I see that, you can see north, west, east, south is also added here. Now 8 items are there total. So this was a thing. We can also get the index of items from last or from the first. Let's say I want the index in like this. This is our array. I want the index of this Delhi. How can I do that? It is very simple. You can just use index of method. So index of method will allow you to get the index of that particular item that you want to search, whether it exists or not. So I want to search Delhi. So if Delhi is there, then the index will be there. You can see 2 is the index. Let's say if I search for Chennai, so that's not there. So it will give you the -1 index. You can see that. Similarly, we can also get the last index of, if you have multiple similar items, so we can use the last occurrence of that item. We can count the index of last occurrence of that item. So that we did in the string chapter, so we can get the idea from there. Similarly, we also have includes method, which will return this which will return false if the item exists in the array, and if it exists, then it will return true. If it doesn't exist, then it will not give you true. It will give you the false value. I can see Chennai doesn't exist in the array, so it is returning as false. But if we specify Delhi here, so Delhi is in the array, so it will give you true here. So this is basically the case. So this way you can also check whether an item exists in the array or not. So these were some methods we did in this video practically. Thank you for watching. Let's meet in the another one.